Every decade is defined by a particular technology that changes the way we function. Cloud-based solutions have been duly placed as the technology that is altering the very face of businesses across globe. May I introduce you to our next guest speaker, Mr. Srikant Rao, who is the co-founder, president, and CEO of Affordable Business Solution. His company, ABS, addresses SMEs and offers them business transformation consultancy services with the aid of technology to transform them into globally competitive, professionally managed enterprises. Srikant Rao?
I'd rather stand down here than on the stage, so if you don't mind. I'm sure you can see me here too, right? Ram, Rashmi, Pawan, thank you very much for inviting me to make this presentation and interact with the audience. A couple of quick questions before I start off. I'd like to get a feel of who I'm speaking to. So may I ask a few questions to you and get a profile of the audience, please? How many of you are owners of your own businesses in this audience? One, all right, 5 or 6. Ram, you can put up your hand too. All right. Okay. How many of you are professionals who do not have any link with the family which owns the business? Okay, great. And how many of you are working for non-family businesses, not family-owned businesses, pure multinationals, etc.? Quite a few. All right. So good. Thank you very much. So let me talk of this as a difference. One last question. Most of you are from services or IT-enabled services type of organizations. How many of you are from, let's say, what we call the old economy, which is manufacturing, distribution, that type of organization? How many of you are there? All right. So most of you are the new economy businesses. Great. So in the new economy, which is effectively the knowledge-based economy, all right, what we have just heard from Sanjay and what we're going to talk about is all ho-hum. Yeah? It's given. We've heard it all before, so nothing great about this. So I have an interesting challenge ahead of me. How do I proceed further talking to somebody, talking to an audience which is pretty knowledgeable about all this? Okay? 10 years ago, all this was new stuff. Today it is given. So what do I do? What I would like to do is switch the entire discussion away from what Sanjay has been talking about, which is HR and software and cloud computing and processes, into what is the business problem today, all right? And whether you're working for a family-owned old economy business or a multinational working in a knowledge economy in the new age, all right? I see two interesting things all the time. We are just moving from one crisis to another. Right? I have worked for both Indian companies and multinationals. I've been an entrepreneur for the last decade now. And today, if you ask me what is my long-term strategic plan, okay, I would say meet this month's payroll. Okay, that's the long-term strategic plan. You talk about changes in the organization, you talk about long-term strategy, investment, HR, processes, cloud computing. I want to do all this great stuff. But when I go out of the door, I have some crisis. Somebody has put in his papers, right? Some customer has announced that there is going to be a huge reduction in their sales forecast or the procurement forecast. Right? I just read yesterday that Ashok Leyland has reported a net margin, a gross margin of 1%. Okay? So imagine all those suppliers to Ashok Leyland who depend upon Leyland, what's going to happen to them? They can expect a huge backlash over the next 3 to 6 months. They probably already are facing it. So there's huge changes in the management focus. So what happens? I have a crisis, so everybody in the management focuses on that crisis. So today's crisis becomes a focus, and you might have sat down and said, all right, HR, investment in people, training, all that is a good things in life, But suddenly your managing director, the finance manager, name everybody is only focused on fixing today's fires. And all this is relegated to the background. Then again you go back to your next quarterly meeting, and then again you talk about it, right? And you put up this proposal that we want to go ahead with PeopleWorks, and they look at it and say, sorry, this quarter we are focused on something else, right? Have all of you faced similar issues, sir? At least that's been my experience in the business. So if you were to manage in this type of continual crisis, the immediate reaction of all human beings is control everything. Okay? Everything will be decided by me and maybe 2 or 3 of my close, trusted compatriots. Okay? And trust could mean people within my community, with my blood, people whom I have worked with for years, okay, where I know that I can depend on them, and everybody else is outside this inner circle. Okay? And so delegation is very, very limited. And this is across the board, sir, whether you're talking of a 10,000 crore conglomerate or a 10 crore or a 5 crore small organization. All right? This is the culture of most businesses. Okay? I'm making some pretty dramatic statements here, please. All right? So I would love to interact with the audience either during my session or later and debate this. I hope there's no press here, I'm sure. Right? Okay. So what happens because of this? All right? Yeah, you control everything. You're able to manage one crisis after the other because you are doing it yourself, right? So the entrepreneur, the owner, gets a fabulous kick, a great ego massage, because I am the only guy who has handled all these problems. Right? Anything is I am able to handle it, whether it's HR, finance, marketing, procurement, manufacturing, quality. I am the Superman. All right? That's what it helps. And he says, yeah, I have moved from one crisis to another. But what happens? The organization plateaus. Growth is limited because even a Superman cannot handle more than a span of control. I mean, theory, HR theory says what, sir? 7 people, right? Span of control beyond 7 for all those HR professionals. I'm going back to what I learned maybe 25 years ago in B school. But 7 to 8 is the norm according to the textbooks. Most businesses, 15, 20, 25 people, I still manage them. And not just manage them, I micromanage them. I tell them what you have to do on a daily basis. I tell them what you have to do for every single transaction. Okay? Even if I manage 25 people, the growth of the organization is limited because of this one single thing. All right? So the need to hire, train, and retain quote-unquote good people is recognized by everybody. You ask any businessman, all right? We don't get good people. I cannot have. Where are those good people? I'm looking for good people. This is the common refrain. Correct? And this is where HR comes in. You want to hire people? Why train them? Right? Training is cost. And common refrain, I train people, the minute he comes out of the training room, his CV is updated, and bingo, jobs ahead or whatever else is posted. Right? And within a few minutes or a few days, he's gone. Right? So why train people? What is the need for employee life cycle management when that life cycle itself is very limited? The era when people have stayed with me, or let's say, most businessmen tell me when my father was running the business or my grandfather was running the business, the accounts guy joined as a stores keeper or an administrator and grew and stayed with them, and his son or daughter joined us, and the third generation employee is with us. People, I hear see some smiles. Loyalty was a virtue. All right? Today, If somebody is staying in your organization for more than 3 years, there are questions asked. Hey, is this guy not able to get a job anywhere else? Why is he staying here? Right? If you don't ask the question, his peers ask him the question. Why are you staying in this organization for more than 3 years? Right? You keep hopping. And so as a businessman, right, as an HR professional, you go and tell the owner of the company or the managing director, sir, we have to train people, we have to groom them, we have to bring them up, you have to expose them, you have to do raw job rotation, and to do all that, you need a life cycle management solution. And hey, here's PeopleWorks. First question is going to, the reaction is going to be, why should I do all this when the guy is going to leave, right? And so what happens? Yeah, people leave, I'll hire 2 more people. There's a huge pool of unemployed youth out there. So this is the ingrained value system today in business. Okay? So I'm talking of a business environment which has this system as compared to 20 years ago or 30 years ago, where people would say a lifetime employment with a employer. Okay, my dad worked for the same employer for 38 years. Okay, after 8 years or 6.5 years with my first employer, I put in my papers and I told my dad I'm leaving. And this was one of the biggest brands in India. He was flabbergasted. He was saying, what the hell are you doing? How can you leave this organization to go and join a non-entity? Okay? It was just not in that culture. Today, it's the other way around. Oops. Yeah. So on one hand, you have all these challenges on the business side. On the other hand, you look at it from the employee side. The aspirations are huge. Again, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, your aspiration was get a job, basic security, right? Keep your home fires fresh. Maslow's theory of needs. Right? Again, I'm talking to HR crowd, so I'll use all the HR technology that I know. Okay, today the aspirations are what? Last 10, 12 years, security is not an issue. In the knowledge economy, in Bangalore, BPO, ITES, call centers, software, doesn't matter, right? I can walk out, I get a job. I don't need to walk out. People are looking for me. At any given point of time, I have 3 job offers in my pocket or in my email box, right? Not even my pocket. So the aspirations are humongous. Okay? The first question a prospective employer is asked by the employee, he is interviewed. It's not the other way around. Okay? The employer is interviewed. You go to campus, make your campus placements, man, it's like an interrogation by the CBI, right? Phenomenal changes in salary structures, right? What you were paying 5 years ago for any role, you're probably doubling that today. Okay? Whether you're talking of a domestic help, a driver, an admin assistant, an accountant, a manager, the number is just growing dramatically. Whether your business is growing or not, whether you're profitable or not, whether you're going through a crisis or not, the employee's thinking is, hey, this is my due. If you can't